Christmas was just a few days away, but instead of feeling the usual excitement, a sense of unease settled deep in my chest. The towering 10-foot pine tree in my parents' mansion shimmered with Swarovski ornaments, casting a warm glow over the snowy streets of Maple Avenue. The dining table, perfectly set with Wedgwood china, already held the menu for Christmas dinner. Everything looked like a scene from a holiday postcard: pristine, elegant, perfect. And yet, something felt terribly wrong. I'm Claire Thompson, a real estate agent in Greenwich, living with my husband, Daniel, and our 6-year-old son, Ethan. We don't belong to the elite circle my parents cherish. Daniel, a middle manager at an IT company, earns about $70,000 a year. Enough for a comfortable life, but far from the extravagance I grew up with. Our home is a modest, colonial-style house filled with love and laughter, not marble floors and gilded chandeliers. But to my parents, that difference is everything. And Ethan, my bright, kind-hearted son, has never been truly welcome in their world. Ethan, who attends North Street School, our local public elementary, is a bright and honest child, popular with his classmates. Influenced by my mother, who was a high school teacher, I'm passionate about education. Helping Ethan with homework and reading together has become my cherished daily routine. Every Sunday, our family attends dinner at my parents' home, Charles and Eleanor's. My sister Sophia is married to a cardiac surgeon. My sister Olivia is a lawyer, and my youngest brother, Nathan, is a university professor. All marriages my parents proudly consider suitable. My parents' white Victorian mansion, built in the 1920s, stands as a symbol of Greenwich's history and tradition. My father, a retired investment banker, and my mother, influential in Greenwich social circles, maintain a facade of charitable work and are pillars of the First Presbyterian Church. We siblings share the responsibility of caring for our aging parents. Sophia manages priority appointments at Greenwich Hospital. I handle contracts and maintenance with Heritage Home Maintenance. Olivia provides legal counsel for wills and inheritance. And Nathan manages the investment portfolio. But lately, Ethan has been reluctant to visit his grandparents. "Mom, do I have to go to Grandma's house?" Ethan's words tugged at my heart. While my parents eagerly encourage expensive lessons and give lavish birthday presents to their other grandchildren, they maintain a cold attitude toward Ethan. At Greenwich Women's Club luncheons, Mother talks endlessly about her other grandchildren, rarely mentioning Ethan. Our brick house may be modest compared to my parents' mansion, but this modern colonial home that Daniel and I chose together is filled with the warmth of family life. Weekends spent playing catch with Ethan in the nearby park or enjoying backyard barbecues. Can't my parents understand the joy in these simple pleasures? "It's okay, Ethan. Mom and Dad are here for you." Hugging my son, I steeled my resolve. This Christmas, I would protect him, no matter what. Standing on our balcony, looking down at the horse chestnut trees and rose garden, I sighed deeply, feeling uneasy about the upcoming family gathering. On Christmas afternoon, when we arrived at my parents' house, Sophia's luxury SUV was already parked in the driveway. Ethan, stepping out of our car and fidgeting with the collar of his new red sweater, squeezed my hand tightly. "I don't want to go." "It's all right, Ethan. I'm sure Santa has brought you something wonderful." Daniel gently pushed our son's shoulder as he spoke, though I could hear the tension in my husband's voice. Opening the heavy front door, we were enveloped by warm air and the aromas of roast turkey, cinnamon, and pumpkin pie. The 24-pound butterball turkey was already browning nicely in the oven. "Claire, you finally arrived!" Mother appeared in the foyer, wearing a white cashmere sweater and gleaming pearl necklace. She barely glanced at Ethan, giving only my cheek a light kiss. "You're late! Sophia's children are already here." From the living room came the excited voices of my nieces and nephews. Under the 12-foot Christmas tree lay a mountain of presents decorated with colorful ribbons. Sophia's twins were playing with the latest gaming console, while Olivia's daughter was studying programming on her new tablet. The next morning, before dawn, my smartphone began buzzing incessantly. The family group chat was overflowing with words of anger and sadness. "What happened last night is absolutely unacceptable," Sophia's words appeared on the screen. "Our parents' actions constitute clear emotional abuse. As a lawyer, I cannot overlook this," stated Olivia's professional opinion. "I would never treat even my students this way." Even Nathan, usually calm, sent an uncharacteristically emotional message. Then, responses from our parents. "Claire's choices led to these results. This is what happens when you marry someone with such limited education." As I stared at the screen, Ethan slept exhaustedly beside me. "He had a Merry Christmas, Claire," Father called out, scotch in hand. Here, I was always called by my maiden name, Claire. He still refused to acknowledge my married name, Thompson. "Ethan, come here," Sophia beckoned. My sister treated Ethan as kindly as the other children, but today there was an apologetic shadow in her eyes. "My, that sweater! Did you buy it at Target?" Mother looked Ethan up and down with a sarcastic tone. Yes, it was a $25 sweater from Target, but Ethan had been so pleased with this red sweater. As dinner time approached, the house filled with energy. Nathan provided intellectual conversation befitting a young professor. Olivia shared interesting stories from her law firm, and Sophia's husband explained the latest medical technologies. My parents listened with satisfied expressions. However, when Daniel began talking about his work, Father merely grunted and deliberately changed the subject. When Ethan tried to share stories from school, Mother interrupted with, "Let's save the children's stories for later." The lavish dinner table was centered around the roast turkey, accompanied by homemade cranberry sauce, green bean casserole, sweet potato casserole, and Whole Foods special pumpkin pie. The dishes, arranged on Wedgwood china, looked like pages torn from a magazine. Let us say grace. As Father began the prayer, everyone closed their eyes and clasped their hands. Lord, we thank you for this bountiful meal, our successful children, and our wonderful grandchildren. Even in the prayer's words lurked invisible discrimination. After dinner came the time for exchanging presents. The whole family gathered around the fireplace. First, Sophia's children. Mother handed over large boxes containing the latest gaming consoles and designer clothes. Olivia's children received educational tablets, and Nathan's child got premium sports equipment and a programming learning set. The children's excited voices filled the room. Finally, it was Ethan's turn. Here, Ethan, your turn. Mother held out a small box. Ethan, eyes shining with expectation, carefully unwrapped the paper. I watched, holding my breath. When he opened the box, it was empty. He doesn't need anything. Mother smiled maliciously. The room's atmosphere froze. Large tears began rolling down Ethan's cheeks. I glared at my mother for a moment, but said nothing. No words were necessary. I silently stood up, embraced my sobbing Ethan, and left the room. Daniel wordlessly followed behind us. A heavy silence fell, and I heard Sophia's small sigh. As we headed toward the entrance, I caught sight of the family photographs on the wall. They showed a seemingly happy family, but now it felt like a lie. Outside, snow continued falling quietly. The Christmas decorations on the houses gleamed somewhat emptily. In the car's rearview mirror, I watched my parents' mansion grow smaller. In the back seat, Ethan wiped his tears with the sleeve of his new red sweater. "Hey, Ethan," Daniel spoke gently while driving. "Daddy and Mommy love you very much. That will never change, no matter what Grandpa and Grandma think." Ken several times from nightmares last night, eventually ending up sleeping in our bedroom. The siblings gathered at Olivia's law office. From the high-rise windows in Manhattan, Greenwich's cityscape appeared hazily in the distance. "Let me first explain from a legal perspective," Olivia began, opening her laptop. "Discriminatory treatment of grandchildren by grandparents can, in some cases, be subject to legal action, but that's a last resort." Sophia maintained a doctor's calm expression. "What we need now is effective sanctions against our parents." Nathan stood at the whiteboard, listing out their current support system. "I've calculated the impact on our parents' lifestyle if we stop all Sunday dinners, medical transportation, and home maintenance management." Nathan showed his spreadsheet. "Our support is what has allowed them to maintain their luxurious lifestyle." Sophia sighed. "I wonder if they even know we've been paying their Greenwich Country Club dues. We've been the ones really supporting the church charity events, too," Olivia added. "That afternoon, we put our concrete action plan into motion. First, Sophia contacted our parents' primary physician. "I'm sorry, but we'll have to discontinue transportation support." Next, Olivia called the home maintenance company. "We won't be renewing the regular maintenance contract." Nathan instructed the investment advisor, "Please remove my name from my parents' account management." The social media impact spread surprisingly quickly. In the Greenwich Women's Club private group, the Christmas party incident became the central topic. Longtime friends began cutting ties with Mother, one after another. Changes were also evident in the church community, with our parents quietly being removed from charity event committees. Charles and Eleanor seemed to have lost their way. The whispers of the church ladies spread quietly. Changes began appearing in the mansion itself. The roses went untended. Roof leaks were left unrepaired. And when the heating system malfunctioned, there were no contractors to call. Tax preparations started falling behind. Had our parents never realized that we had been handling all these practical matters for years? "How's Ethan?" Sophia asked worriedly. "He's slowly regaining his spirit," I answered. "Daniel practices baseball with him every evening. The love around him seems to be healing him." "My children want to play with Ethan, too," Olivia said. "Why don't we have a hot chocolate party at my house this weekend?" The cousins enjoyed playing with Ethan, purely unaffected by the complex adult situation. The kindness of his cousins gradually helped heal Ethan's emotional wounds. On a snowy evening, I gazed out my window at the street. It had been days since we'd received any calls from my parents. Sometimes I wondered if this was the right choice, but every time I saw Ethan smile, I was convinced our decision wasn't wrong. Shortly after the new year began, unexpected visitors appeared at our door. When I opened it, there stood my parents, looking unfamiliar. Mother's usually perfectly styled hair was disheveled, and Father wore a worn cashmere sweater instead of his typical luxury suit. They both seemed to have aged rapidly in these 2 weeks. "Claire, would you hear us out?" Mother's voice had lost its usual arrogance. I showed them into the living room, where Daniel silently brought coffee. Ethan was playing in his room upstairs. The scent of breakfast toast still lingered in the house. Father spoke first. "The truth is, we're struggling to manage." From there, their predicament became clear. Their Greenwich hospital appointments were canceled, preventing Father's regular checkups. The Heritage Home maintenance contract wasn't renewed, leaving house problems unattended. Tax preparations stalled, with late payment notices piling up. "But your pension," I began. Mother broke down crying, interrupting my words. "It's not enough. We've been living beyond our means, keeping up appearances." Father pulled a bill from his wallet, a payment reminder from Greenwich Country Club. "Our friends have abandoned us. We've lost our place at church." Mother's makeup began to run. "Did you know," Father quietly asked, "that we couldn't survive without your support?" "Yes, we knew," I answered. "But why Ethan?" At that moment, Mother's expression changed. It was a complex look, mixing pride and regret. "I'll be honest," Mother began speaking, clutching her handkerchief with trembling hands. "I couldn't accept your marriage. A daughter of a prominent Greenwich family, marrying a mere IT manager." "But Daniel is a wonderful husband and father," I replied quietly but firmly. "Yes." Mother gazed out the window as she continued. "But I had my pride, my position in society, my reputation at church, the eyes of my friends. So Ethan, yes, that child, was proof of the marriage that betrayed our expectations. Every week at family dinner, seeing him..." Father interrupted. "No, Eleanor, that's wrong." Mother turned in surprise at Father's unexpected words. "We were wrong. Our vanity and pride blinded us to what truly matters." Father's voice trembled. "We maintained our luxury lifestyle thanks to your support, and we repaid that kindness with cruelty." Mother remained silent, gripping her handkerchief tightly. "We apologize." Father bowed his head deeply. "To Ethan and to your family." However, Mother's attitude remained somewhat different. "But our social standing..." At that moment, we heard a small sound from upstairs. Ethan was sitting halfway up the stairs. "Grandma, why don't you like me?" Ethan's innocent question froze the atmosphere in the room. Mother stared at Ethan, speechless. For the first time, true regret appeared in her eyes. I don't deserve forgiveness." The mask Mother had worn for years seemed to fall away. "But if you'll allow me..." Mother's voice broke. "Could we start over as a real family?" I silently watched Ethan. Should we burden a 6-year-old heart with such weight? But in my son's eyes, I saw something that adults couldn't see. "Don't cry, Grandma." Ethan came down the stairs and approached Mother. "I have my red sweater. I'll let you borrow it." At those pure words, Mother's pride completely crumbled. Heedless of her running makeup, she began sobbing openly. Father silently stood and walked to the window. Outside, the New Year's snow continued falling quietly. Mother collapsed into the couch, pressing the red sweater to her chest as if it were the most precious thing in the world. The weight of years of pride, resentment, and misplaced priorities seemed to bear down on her all at once. Father, still standing by the window, let out a long, weary sigh. "We don't expect forgiveness overnight," he said quietly, "but we want to try, to be better, to be the family we should have been." I exchanged a glance with Daniel. His face was unreadable, but I knew what he was thinking. We had built our life without them, had learned to protect Ethan from the coldness that had once defined our family gatherings. And yet, the little boy standing before us, the one offering his beloved sweater to a grandmother who had treated him so unfairly, saw things differently. Ethan tugged at my sleeve. "Mommy, can Grandma and Grandpa come to my baseball game next weekend?" A simple request, one I knew meant the world to him. I nodded. "If they truly want to be part of your life, Ethan, then yes. but only if they understand that love isn't about status or expectations. It's about being there. Mother clutched the sweater even tighter. "I'll be there," she whispered, her voice raw, "if you'll have me." Father turned from the window, looking older than I had ever seen him. "So will I." That weekend, for the first time in years, our family sat together, not in a grand mansion or a perfectly set dining room, but on the wooden bleachers of Ethan's little league game. The chill of early spring still lingered in the air, but as I watched my parents cheer for their grandson, bundled in coats instead of cashmere, something inside me thawed. It would never be perfect. The past couldn't be erased. But as Ethan ran the bases, his laughter ringing through the field, I allowed myself to hope. Hope that maybe, just maybe, we could find a way forward, together.